Welcome back to the Brothers War EDH. My name is Ryan. This is Chris. This is Blake. We're all wearing the same clothes from the last time because you know what? We're recording more than one episode. All right? We're doing it.
Wow.
We're just going to be just going through these cards, man. We haven't talked about cards in a long time. I like talking about cards. I like talking about card advantage. And this week's episode is we're talking about the best card advantage cards in black. Mono black. Big black. But before we get...
The forbidden card advantage.
Big black.
Before we get into it, if I can just please ask y'all to like the video, subscribe to the channel. With that being said, let's get into black card advantage. Chris, what is it? What does black do in terms of card advantage? Like, you know, just talk about that for a second.
They use their life.
Yeah. Yes.
As far as getting cards, like you think of Necropotence, you think of you think of the premier stuff. Peer into the Abyss, Bolas's Citadel, Ad
nauseum. Yeah, ad nauseum. Ad nauseum was the first one on my list. Come on.
Yeah, they're going to be using their life totals. Black Market Connections, one that I really enjoy. Confidant, that's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah. Oldie but a goodie.
You know, so like you're going to be using your life total to generate card advantage, and that's how black does their thing.
The life is where it's at, man. You took 5 of my 10 cards off in one statement. A big life.
I think specifically the important thing to note there is black doesn't run a ton of card advantage, but their card advantage that they do run basically draws them half the deck. Yeah. So specifically what I'm talking about is Peer into the Abyss, Ad nauseum. You could maybe argue Bolas's Citadel depending on how smooth running you are, but there are very few instances of card draw, but when they hit that instance of card draw, they're basically drawing the entire deck because their entire deck is built around it. So specifically referring to Ad nauseum and your specifically Ad nauseum, because that is five mana, basically draw until you no longer want to lose life, that sort of effect. There is also quite a bit of selection in that sort of scenario. So if you're looking at Demonic Consultation, it's not only just a win condition, can be used to find whatever card you're looking for.
All the tutors, yeah, unconditional tutors.
Every unconditional tutor that's in black.
Yeah, best tutors.
Demonic, Grim, by far, best tutors.
Yeah, Vampiric, Imp Seal.
All unconditional.
And some of those unconditional tutors, like Razaketh, people still play the Razaketh's deck. I haven't seen it in a while, but people still play it.
I haven't either.
But hey, it does its thing. I saw someone play a RuneScar demon one time, and I was like, wow, cEDH, man. Maybe it was like a demon trap or something. I don't know.
We don't discriminate against card choices here.
Oh no. I mean, RuneScar demon. Okay. It finds you whatever card you need.
I think that's a little more sus, but
yeah, it is sus.
That's my opinion.
No, you're right.
Beseech the Mirror is one that I got. Triple black is kind of tough, but you know what? Mono black, it's almost a slam dunk in there, right? Especially in the.
I think it's the having to sacrifice a token or artifact or whatever that actually makes that card a lot harder to use, because
it is harder.
While we do have early artifacts, who's going to sacrifice their Mana Crypt or who's going to sacrifice their Soul Ring to that card? It's, I think it's a more niche card that has to be in a deck that has expendable either tokens or artifacts or that sort of thing. I think it's a little more challenging to just throw that in any deck and hope that it's going to do what it's going to do.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely niche. Like Ring Kirik, for example, is one that I see a lot in. Especially because sometimes they run those very cheap creatures that kind of interact with it, but I mean, gosh, triple black one. What was it? 1 and pay 6 life to.
If you're running black, you're running Dark Ritual, you're running Cabal Ritual. Triple black is, I mean, in the low color black decks.
Oh yeah, for
you
sure.
wouldn't run this. I don't think you're running this in 4 or 5 color black decks.
I think it's basically exclusively blue black or mono black. I think
blue black, mono black. Heard. Yeah, you mentioned Black Market Connections. That was on my list as well.
Yeah, I love the card.
Like that. I feel like that people are kind of reserved because they're like, oh well, it kind of just acts as like a Phyrexian Arena or something like that, and we don't play those, but it just does so much, man. It does a lot.
See, as far as card advantage is concerned, it doesn't do a lot. But the thing about this card is what it sets it apart is the fact that it makes a treasure. I think mana advantage is one of the most underrated. I mean, people are starting to come up on it for sure, and they're understanding the power of having mana.
Yeah.
But anytime you're getting an extra mana just for free, well, it's not for free. You're paying life, of course, but that's very strong. And on top of that, you're getting a card, and then if you really need it, you can pay the highest life, which is the one you probably want the least anyways, to get a creature. That's a changeling. So if it could be in any of your kindred decks if you need it to be. I just think like a pirate deck or something like that. Like Malcolm cares about this card if it's blue black or something like that. So it's just I like the versatility of this card.
Going back to the tutors really quick, I had this honorable mention, and where I know that like tutors are more selection, but Wishclaw Talisman.
I'm saying it. I usually see it in most black decks because basically it operates as a tutor that's on the battlefield. That whenever you need to use it, you then use it and win. Because you're never playing that for value or something like that.
Yeah.
It only ever sits on the table. You tap it, search, and then you attempt to
and then
win.
you try to win. Right.
No one's in the market of giving Chris a free tutor.
Right.
That's just you.
Right. Just give it to me, Blake.
I would give it to you.
Always give it to me.
Wow. You would never give it to me, Blake?
No.
Wow.
Never would.
So the thing about the cool thing about Wishclaw Talisman, right? Like what Blake said, you're gonna use it on the turns where you're trying to win. And the thing is, like, it doesn't say you. I mean, people know what Wishclaw does, but the thing, what makes it so powerful is that the turn you're about to go off, it doesn't matter at any point you see any interaction. You're just like, it's not limited to anything but your turn. So you can do it at instant speed. It only costs 1 colorless mana. And, if you need to search for interaction, you can. Card is very, very, very powerful. It should definitely be in your black decks if you're running it. If you're playing black.
Versatility is nice for sure.
And again, it just sits there. People don't want to get rid of it because it's coming to one of you. And if it's a possibility that you can get a free tutor, nobody's destroying the freaking Wishclaw Talisman. So
I was just gonna bring up the 2 that are on my list that hasn't been mentioned, and they fall in the category of your stack that turn into advantage. So
yes.
My 2 on here are Dothy Voidwalker and Opposition Agent.
Yes.
Where
both of those are on my list too. Let's go.
Or they come down, they act as stacks pieces. Dothy Voidwalker continues to get additional benefit as everything it exiles can then be cast by you, and Opposition Agent is a tutor interrupter that then allows you to go find whatever card out of their deck that you want, and then you have the ability to cast it. So they are in and of themselves advantage that also stacks the table, and they are basically staples in every black deck, any X black deck that can play them for the most part.
Yeah, I was watching I think it was like a Playing with Power episode, and one of the people on there was like, yeah, Oppo, freaking Oppo is like not as good as what people say. It's kind of like a dead card.
Wow,
dude, it does so freaking much, and it's flash, man.
But you're always guaranteed a card. It always replaces itself, and it's not like it replaces itself with a random card off the top, like like a Ragavan or something like that. It goes and gets something, and especially if you hit like very like linear decks where, like, let's say you're playing against a Doomsday deck, you steal their tutor and can grab their Doomsday, and now they don't have a Doomsday. They don't have a Doomsday line like that. Shut off an entire deck if they don't have like a backup plan in and of itself. It's just I get why someone would say that it sounds a lot worse than it is, because I think there are games where it's just not that interesting where you get to snag one tutor of somebody's or some search effect or something to that effect, and they don't really have anything that helps your game plan, so you just you grab like some sort of artifact like a Mana Crypt or a Soul Ring or something like that. But even that in and of itself, you get a body that then produced you a mana rock that generates, 2 mana. I think it's basically good in almost every game in some shape, form, or matter.
I do think that that the way it's played, like you definitely got to be mindful of it, because I feel like a lot of people, and I'm glad that people are kind of like getting off this, but they try to like hold on to it and like try to like do the whole gotcha thing. But sometimes in some random cases, and this is very, very rare, but I've seen people like, they play for like value and like not wait, because sometimes people just wait and they wait and they wait and they wait and they wait. And so, and some
it's still stuck in their hand.
Right. It's stuck in their hand. They're not doing anything. Yeah. So, I've seen the play of people just doing the turn 1 dark ritual, Oppo agent, whatever. You know what I mean? I've seen those things happen. It's definitely a house. And yeah, Dothy Voidwalker cards crazy. I love it. Did we already talk about Necropotence already?
We mentioned it.
It was thrown into the cards that basically cost life, so you're into Abyss, that sort of thing. I got a quick one that we haven't talked about. Yawgmoth's Will is something that no one has talked about, but that is one of it used to be one of the OG premier black, basically Yawgmoth's willing and main archetypes play as well. So I think a very powerful effect.
I got one.
Yep.
It's a new card. Tiny Bones the Pickpocket.
Oh yeah.
1 mana, Death Touch, 1/1. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target non-land permanent from that player's graveyard, and any mana of any type can be used. So basically, in early Tiny Bones, it's not going to get blocked. It's got Death Touch. You can snipe people's Jeweled Lotuses. You can snipe people's Lotus Petals. And that's all I got.
That's all I got.
I mean,
the fact that it's 1 mana, 1/1 with Death Touch, and it can get that stuff was why I added it on here. And it's fairly new, so we'll see if it rises in popularity. But I just wanted to mention it.
I'd say definitely could go in like your Temna strategies and that sort of thing. That not only is it activating the card advantage of Temna, but it's also generating its own. And like you said, it is particularly hard to block. I do think there are some tables that is going to look pretty bad against. If you're against any any green deck that's playing Dorks, I think most people probably would be interested in trading with you. So it's just going to basically be a 1/1 with Death Touch on defense, which isn't nothing, depending on what sort of archetype you're playing against. So, card interesting. Definitely didn't think about that one.
The floor is what I was talking about earlier, like the Jeweled Lotuses, the Lotus Petals and stuff. But sure. I mean, this could very well get an actual spell that's relevant later in the game too. So.
Sure. Yeah. You snap somebody's Adnaz.
Jessica's Will, Adnaz, Jessica's Will, like all those are very relevant cards. And it's non-land. It's a non-land permanent, so it's not even just instants or sorcery. So wait, so I can't.
Yeah, it's non-land permanent.
Sorry, it's non-land permanent
spells.
So forget about that. But you can get like.
You can get an Underworld Breach.
You can get an Underworld Breach. You can get the dorks that sacrifice themselves. Like Tinderwall.
That is interesting. I do actually think that since it says non-land permanent, the card is a lot less interesting than than when I was thinking about scenarios. Because now I'm trying to think about what non-land permanents are going to be in people's graveyards, especially in the early game. So, like you said, I think the best case scenario for this is going to be like Petal, Lotus. Those sort of like early game artifacts that go there, or board wipe's not really maybe like a Toxic Deluge happens and then you can land a Tiny Bones and now you've got quite a few more interesting options.
Voidwalker.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
anyways, Gothic Voidwalker can't block either, so I mean,
it's got some legs. It's got legs. What do you think?
That's not true. It can block other creatures with that ability.
All right. Anyways, Tiny Bones just a funny one to throw out there, but it could be relevant.
Like what Chris said, black uses life. It makes the trade. It makes the deal. Jesus. Give me the cards for the life. That's all that I want. I want to peer into the abyss. I want to peer into the abyss. All right, you know what I'm saying?
I do occasionally know what you're saying.
That's right. That's gonna be it for the black cards in cEDH for Card Advantage episode. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, man. Don't forget, we're going to be in Cowtown, USA, and we're gonna be competing for the prize.
For the top prize.
But yes, that's gonna be it for us. My name is Ryan. This is Chris. This is Blake. We're the Brothers War. We will see y'all on the next one. Goodbye.